You taking a photo?
I am.
No.
I hope you had a Merry Christmas, Stephen.
I did. Did you?
I think I did. I'm going to assume I did
Yeah.
because, you know, this has been uploaded in the future.
This is future us. This
It
is like
is.
some
This is
time
future
travel.
us hoping that we had a really good Christmas. I'm pretty sure I had a fantastic Christmas, to be fair. You're
That
just
it?
silent
Is that
from you.
that? That's the end of that, right? We'll see you next.
Okay. Um, Happy New Year, everyone. You
Happy.
are listening to the Jamie and Steven show. Let's talk movies, music, and magic.
Hey.
Should all acquaintance be forgot?
Right. Is that the only singing you're going to be doing?
I can't promise anything, Steven, because we are continuing Beauty and the Beast.
It's
So
more.
I won't be able to help myself.
I've got the recording. I'll just press mute.
Okay.
If there's long
Um,
periods of silence, then it's Jamie singing. Thank you
so for
later.
those who love Beauty and the Beast just as much as us, I hope they've appreciated the love that we've given this film because we've basically dedicated the month of December to Beauty and the Beast.
I mean, everyone who listened to part one has so far come back to part two.
Yeah.
So
And then
then,
we've had the Enchanted Christmas, which was
yes,
last week's episode. And now
yes,
we're at Beauty and the Beast and beyond.
and beyond.
So the reason we've called it this is because we felt that what comes after this film has continued and Disney are still doing now. But we agree that it's really because of Beauty and the Beast that it's to the level that it is now. I mean, at the level that it started was amazing. And the fact that it's still going and growing and still loved. And I mean, we've got Hercules next year to come. I just had to get a bit of a sing song in
Yeah, I
there.
was gonna say I missed the remote mute button. Sorry.
But I think that that's down to Beauty and the Beast that we have come to so far that we are getting Hercules on stage. I mean, to be fair, that should have been on stage years ago, but my point is like it's growing
Tarzan's on stage. Well, was on stage, and
for a
that
short
got
time, and I don't know why.
yeah. Why
I was
that
like,
instead of
that
Hercules?
should have
Or
been big.
yeah,
But anyway, right. So Beauty and the Beast Beyond. So you're gonna talk about parks.
yeah. I've got a bit about the parks, and then I've got a bit about Belle's Magical World.
Oh, this supposed threequel.
It's it exists.
Okay.
Um,
Well, no offense, but I think you should start with that. And it means that we'll end on a high. And
yeah,
we'll
I was gonna
get
say because to be honest, yeah, we could just sit there in silence and it'd still be better than this.
yeah, to be honest, I've never seen this.
Well,
And I don't feel I should suffer.
no,
I know that we do a podcast on Disney animated classics, but this isn't counted as a classic. And unless we get to the point where we'll have to do the sequels as well, I'm not going to waste
no,
precious lifetime
no.
on this sequel or threequel that I've never heard of. But I know
Um,
you have.
I have, wasted part of my life, so everyone else, you don't have to.
Yeah. So
Um,
you go ahead and you tell us what we missed, and we're glad to
what
have
you're glad to
listened.
miss. So basically, after The Enchanted Christmas in 1998, it was released as a direct to video. It's also set within the film. So it's a bit like Enchanted Christmas, where it's set within the original one. This
Okay.
has Belle in her kind of blue and white dress, pinafore thing.
And
Uh,
at what timeline are we talking? Is it before Enchanted Christmas, after Enchanted Christmas?
I think it's after,
Okay.
to be honest
So
with you.
before the mob come with Gaston.
Yes, yes, before that. Um, to be honest, no one's going to watch it, so I won't worry too much about where it's set. Watch The Enchanted Christmas and leave it there. No one needs to watch this at all. Um, a lot of the cast did come back. Paige O'Hara as Belle. We've got Robbie Benson as the Beast. Um, Jerry Orbach as Lumiere, and David. I'll be able to read my writing. Ogden Stylers as Cogsworth. So they all came back. Um, Mrs. Potts is not played by Angela Lansbury.
Do you know what? At the time, I can imagine Angela was like, no, you're taking the piss now. Like, I
Well,
came back to do a sequel. Yeah, the sequel was a hit, Christmassy, but you're pushing it now. And no,
so
I've had enough.
this film is the reason why this film exists is because,
Because Disney took the piss.
well, they were going to do a Beauty and the Beast TV series,
Oh,
and it was going to be animated in the same way that Hercules was animated, in the same way we've got the Aladdin TV series and whatnot. And
see,
basically,
why do I envision a live action Belle with a talking book?
so there is
Where's that?
there is that series did come about. I've got a little bit of
Right,
that
okay.
a bit
Because
later.
when you said about this sequel, I thought it was that.
No, so this is basically a the three pilot episodes for that TV series
Oh, right, okay.
pushed into one, and they've called it a film.
Okay.
Um, and that might be one of the reasons why Angela Lansbury isn't there, because
Yeah.
the budget for a TV series is not as high as a film.
And
Um, she,
the others were desperate.
yeah, I was gonna
They
say
were like, yes,
her
we'll
fee is
take the
higher than
job.
what this could
Yeah.
afford.
Although, to be fair, Jerry Orbach would have been well on his height in Law and Order. So he must have just done it because he liked doing the character.
Yeah, either that or he's very much like, do you know what? It's an easy gig.
Yeah. Easy money. Where maybe for Angela to put on that, you know, that amazing Cockney accent
Well, when was Murder She
was
Wrote?
just too much of an effort for the
When
little
was
amount they were willing to offer.
when was Murder She Wrote? Was that still going on around this time? So this is around 1997 for the 19.
No, it would have finished by now.
Okay, so it's
I
not that
think it
she's
did
in.
11 seasons and it started in the early 80s. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, no, it would have been well finished now.
I was
Like, she
gonna,
would have been like almost like making people believe that she was going to retire, but she didn't because she kept coming back in these films.
not this one.
But not this one. Don't blame her. Don't blame her.
Um, Taking the place of Mrs. Potts is Anne Rogers. Anne Rogers was born in Liverpool. She's an English actress, but mainly starred on Broadway. So I've
Okay.
got she starred in 42nd Street, Gigi, and My Fair Lady.
Okay.
So again,
Sorry, Anne.
we've got a another Broadway star taking uh the
Yeah,
part.
to keep the Broadway theme. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
as I say, the film was split into three parts originally, and I'm going to go through each of those parts
Okay.
separately. However, another section was added in the international release and in the special edition DVD in 2003, but that part is not available on Disney Plus.
Oh, shame.
I know it could have been a full 20 minutes longer.
Oh,
Um, so
those international fans, they get all the fun.
they did. Now the extra scene was actually taken from that TV series with the live action Belle
Right,
that
okay.
I'm going to go into a little bit later. Um, but the first section is called The Perfect World.
Okay.
And I've done a little overview.
Right.
Um, so the beast gets warm during dinner, but everyone else is cold. And basically, Belle and the beast argue about him being selfish.
Okay.
Then they've got three new friends, which is Webster, who's a book, Crane, who's a pile of paper, and Le Plume, who's a quill. And they basically send an apology on Beast's behalf. The Beast finds out that it wasn't from Belle, and he bans them from the castle. But
Oh no.
it's cold outside,
Oh.
and Belle asks the Beast to forgive them, and he does. um, Crane, who's the pile of paper, is voiced by Jeff Bennett. He is Mr. Smee in Peter Pan 2. He is also Tramp, Trusty Jock, and the dog catcher in Lady and the Tramp 2 as well, and plays Mr. Centipede in James and the Giant Peach. Le Plume is Rob Paulson, who played PJ in Goof Troop, but he's also Reuben in the Lilo and Stitch franchise. Now, I had to Google who this was, but basically, it's like the beige Stitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was also Eric in The Little Mermaid too.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Um, Webster, the book, is played by Jim Cummings, and I won't go
Oh,
into what he has played.
yeah. If you're listening, you should know by now.
Yeah, we've covered him quite a
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Um, the second part is called Fifi's Folly. So Fifi being the feather duster
Okay.
gets a
Ooh la la.
he gets a storyline. So
She.
say again.
She gets yeah,
He
she.
gets a
Yeah,
storyline.
yeah, yeah.
For the anniversary of when Fifi and Lumiere kind of went on their first date. Fifi's expecting a big, amazing gift from Lumiere and confides in Belle. Belle then goes to tell Lumiere, "Did you know it's your anniversary?" And he goes, "No." And then they kind of come up with a big plan between them. And Fifi thinks that Lumiere is cheating on her with Belle.
Oh no, no.
No, no. Um, Fifi is played by Kimmy Robertson, who was the original voice in the film. But Disney fans will know her as the voices of Alana, Adela, Arista, and Andrina from The Little Mermaid.
Oh,
She's also Lucy Moran in Twin Peaks. I've never
I've
seen
not
Twin
watched
Peaks.
it.
I know it was a big thing at the time, but
Yeah.
she played.
I think they've remade it as well, but I've not seen it.
Yeah, I don't think it's. Yeah. And the third section is called Broken Wing. Sorry. So basically,
Is this about a bird with
it
a broken
is.
wing? Is it?
Bird flies into Belle's bedroom and basically hurts himself in the bedroom, and Beast declares that he hates birds.
Oh, darn that
And
beast.
in trying to get rid of the bird or capture the bird, he bangs his head, gets a bit of amnesia, and decides that he actually likes birds. Is this gripping you? And what he wants to do is, because the bird song is so beautiful, he wants to keep the bird in captivity. And Belle and friends make him realize that that's the wrong thing to do.
Do you know what? I can't believe I've not watched this. I feel like I'm missing out, Stephen. I mean, this sounds like the best threequel that
So
Disney has ever done.
I had a big issue with how the Beast's character is in this film,
Right, okay.
because in the original film he's grumpy and a bit spoiled.
Hmm.
In this film, and excuse my language, but he's a bit of an arsehole. And he,
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, in the Enchanted Christmas, I felt that they really exaggerated his behavior
oh,
slightly compared to the first one. But
completely worse than
luckily,
that.
it didn't spoil the movie, but it did almost spoil it because it was too much. I mean, the way he demands Forte to play the song, it's like, what? I'd be like, F you. Like, really, what's he going to do? Like, as if their lives couldn't get any worse.
He's
Like,
chained to the
why is he
wall.
still so threatening to them?
I mean,
Whereas, in the first film, the only threat was the fact that he wasn't willing to make an effort
mhm,
in finding
yeah,
a love. But by the sounds of it, they take that to the extreme where it's not even the original character. And
no,
obviously, by the sounds of your description,
no. And
it's almost like a spoiled brat.
yeah,
The same behavior that's portrayed in the narrative at the start of the film, which is
yeah,
why he got in this mess in the first place. He's supposed to have grown at this
yeah.
point,
Not in this one.
not gotten worse.
Not in this one. Um,
But I think it just shows that the people in charge at that time were trying to make money
yeah.
off
As
of
I say,
something
it was
that
going to be
they
a TV
saw.
series.
Well, we could just throw anything at this and people will watch it. And I'm glad I've not watched it because luckily Enchanted Christmas was good.
Yes,
And I feel that in my mind, up until you told me about this
yes,
threequel,
it
which I
didn't.
hadn't heard of, I thought Beauty and the Beast had been unspoilt by Disney's, you
No,
know, people in charge that was trying to make money off of everything they'd made in the past, like what they're doing a bit now. But by the sounds of it, no,
no.
it hasn't been untouched. But luckily, not many people have been scarred by this prequel.
So this film, the three segments, the first one I thought was the better of the three,
Okay.
but if I was marking it out of five, it'd get a one. The second was okay. There was nothing wrong with it. It was okay. But again, like zero point 0.5 out of one. The third one exists. um, there are some other characters that appear throughout the film. So Wardrobe makes an appearance because she didn't in The Enchanted Christmas. Played by the same actress, Joanne Worley, who also plays Miss Maples in A Goofy Movie. Sultan, the stool that's a dog, that's played by Frank Welker, who we'll know mainly as Scooby Doo and Fred, but he has appeared in a lot of films. Um, there is another few characters. One is called Chef Bouche. There is Tuba Lu and the very creatively named Punch Bowl. They're all played by Jim Cummins as well. Um, Trez, who is an oven mitt, and another character very well named called Egg Beater is Rob Paulson. And there is a chandelier, and there is a Shord and a Constantina, who is played by April Winchell, who played Miss Finster in Recess. Now, we might recognize the name from a previous podcast. She is the daughter of Paul Winchell, who was the original Tigger.
Oh, wow.
So, the film. So there's a lot of things. Like I say, I think the Beast's character is completely out of character, completely. Um, when I was reading up on um, different facts and I came across a few blogs and things like that,
Mhm.
no blog had a good word to say about this film.
Oh,
I don't know what it's got on IMBD, um, but basically a lot of um, fan consensus is that it doesn't exist. They do
yeah.
not.
Well, the fact that I hadn't watched it.
They do not consider it part of the Beauty and the Beast canon. It also is the reason why we've had. Do you remember online there was a meme a little while ago where it was Belle with a really weird face called the Durf face meme? And she's playing
No.
like a really, you know, how we have like Gaston, where if you pause it at the wrong time, he's got like eyes that are looking in different directions and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, there was a Belle version of that, and that's
Oh,
from.
right. Okay.
And when I say the animation is not good, I'm I'm being polite to the animators.
Oh, right. Okay.
um, Weirdly, when the VHS came out in 1998, it ranked in the top 10 selling VHSs for that year.
Oh. Well, yeah, which is understandable because I bet, yeah, because of the Enchanted Christmas, people
Yeah,
thought, oh my God, this is amazing. We're getting more.
yeah, they would be wrong. They were so
Suckers.
disappointed. Can you imagine, like at Christmas time, and you open up your presents and you've got this new Beauty and the Beast film? You're like, oh, I'm going to go watch it because I really like the original and I like the
Yeah,
Enchanted Christmas. And then this happens.
I
It's,
know.
yeah. DVD came out in 2003.
Oh, what even made DVD?
It made a DVD. It's never,
I don't understand why I've never watched it. I didn't even know it existed.
it's never made it to Blu-ray.
Oh, well. Oh, that was a good decision, Disney.
Yes. Now, people who have been listening to us and know this as well, um, I obviously collected the DVDs when things came out, and I'm a big fan of Beauty and the Beast. I did not own this.
Okay, I'm so glad.
So the first time that I've seen this is for this podcast, this episode.
So
And
is it on Disney Plus?
it is,
Oh, maybe if I feel really depressed after I've taken down my Christmas decorations, I might make myself suffer more and put it on.
yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, what are you trying to do? Finish the job. um,
Because I, otherwise, I just know if I'm in a good mood, it'll make me make my day worse.
you see, for
So
me,
if my day's shit already, then I may as well make it even more
so
shit by watching that garbage. And
the
at least I could say I've watched it.
yeah, I mean, the film itself, as I say, is made of three parts, three shorts that are pushed together. which is the same as Cinderella 2 and 3.
Oh,
Cinderella 2 was meant to be a pilot, again, like this, 3 episodes. I will say that, I mean, Cinderella 3 is quite high in my rankings of the sequels. um,
well, to be fair, actually, Holly texted me the other day saying um, that she'd attempted to watch Cinderella 2 and 3 for the first time, and she just can't understand why you can watch number 3.
oh no, I like the story behind it. I like the fact that it's the evil stepmother and she um basically gives the happy ever after to Anastasia, and then it all kind of falls apart because that's not what true love is.
Oh,
And Anastasia's the hero of that story.
okay.
This is just garbage, though. This
Yeah.
is
I
really
mean, I
bad.
can't believe we've given it this amount of time on the podcast, to
I
be fair.
know, I know.
Yeah,
So moving swiftly on then, because I'm
yeah.
done with that. Um, Sing Me a Story with Belle is the TV series that you seem to remember with a live action Belle who has kids who basically visits her in a
Okay.
shop and she tells them a story. It ran from 1995 to 1997. However, here in the UK, we had it until 2001.
Wow.
Um, Belle is played by Lindsay McLeod, but I couldn't find any facts about her.
Okay.
Um, however,
Maybe she
it
took to the drink.
well also
I mean,
stop.
after playing that role for 2 years, she thought, oh, that's it, I'm done.
So I did a bit of a clip search,
Uh-huh.
and from the 5 minute thing that I saw of that, I was more entertained than I was for the whole of Belle's Magical World.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh God.
It also features a young Sean Pythron,
Who is
Andrew from Desperate Housewives,
oh, okay.
Bridgerton.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, the show featured clips from vintage cartoons, which includes the shorts Mickey's Rival, Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree, and Musicland, and Ferdinand the Bull, Pedro from those wall shorts, Mickey and the Beanstalk,
Oh yeah.
Johnny Appleseed.
Oh,
Uh,
so they just thought, let's just make people suffer even more
yeah,
by doing our Belle as like a live action Bear in the Big Blue House style.
yeah,
And then we're
basically.
gonna throw these old cartoons
Yeah.
in these 90s kids' faces, let's get some new fans.
So basically, it was trying to get kids to read, and it was an educational show.
Oh, okay, to get them to
So
read.
what they were doing was the government actually
We're
funded.
getting them to switch off the telly. That's what they were doing. Mummy, where's that remote?
Yeah, it's all right. I've got up and turned it off at the box. Uh, so basically, the government funded, and the powers that be was like, if we put the funding into the live action bits and reuse our old cartoons, they'll be of a better quality. Um, yeah, but
Oh,
one episode did feature Little Toot,
oh,
which
okay.
I think was the redeeming factor of that whole
That
decade,
whole show.
wasn't it? And did I mention there was bits from Pinocchio in it as well?
No.
Oh, well, there was clips from Pinocchio.
Okay.
Um, so yes, that's basically what I have. That's the story of Beauty and the Beast. After the film, there was a failed TV series that made it as a third film, and there was 2 years worth of TV programs, which no one remembers. Um, either of.
No, not memorable.
So I can hand back to you.
So the Broadway musical.
Yes.
Um, right. So this is probably, I think, um, apart from the fact that the film, the original film, is obviously our favorite
Hmm.
and one of the best, and set the bar, which obviously we mentioned in our previous podcast.
Yep.
The musical, I think, if it hadn't happened, I don't think we would have the Disney musicals that we've got now. And because I feel like that this musical also set the bar.
Hmm.
Um, so and it's a shame because it's not running anymore, and I'm not sure why. Obviously, The Lion King has completely taken over, and that's like the most that's the longest running Disney musical.
Yep.
It's still going now, and it's obviously taken over. And I know that Beauty and the Beast has appeared elsewhere, like on the cruise ship and in the parks. But the last time it was on Broadway was, I think, but when I get to it, but I'm pretty sure it was 2007. So it
Was
was
a
a
little
long
bit.
time ago.
We saw the tour that they did. It was, I had a
Yeah, it's an amateur tour.
I saw that tour, and then before then, my second cousin's husband was in it in Coventry.
Yeah, it's an amateur tour. So
Yeah.
basically, what they've done now is that because my godmother's been in one as well, where
Okay.
it's there for people to pay for the license and they can put their own production together,
Yeah.
which is such a shame because I feel like, I mean, I've not seen it, so I can't comment, but I know people who have and like my grandma, um, who obviously I mentioned before in the when we spoke about the original film.
Mm.
I mean, this is her favorite, and like I've got that connection with her, and she saw it in Disney with other members of the family, and she always spoke about this musical in particular. I mean, they saw Lion King at Disney as well for the first time, and she never seen it in the West End or Broadway. They always saw them at Disney first,
Yeah.
and but this one in particular, she always spoke of because of the Beast transformation
Yeah.
and how amazing that was. Um,
You'll get to see it next year.
I know, I know. I really hope it's still there, though, and they don't replace it with something else randomly, with a stupid announcement.
I don't think they will because of where it is and how it's kind of um its place in the park.
Okay, which you
I
can explain when we get to the parks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right. So yeah, so the Broadway musical. So just to give you an idea before I get into, the making of,
Mhm.
it has earned $1.7 billion worldwide.
More than the third film.
Yeah. In 13 countries and 115 cities.
Wow.
It cost approximately $20 million and was one of the most expensive productions at the time.
Mhm.
So I think Lion King does beat it
Yeah.
when we get to Lion King. But at the time, it was the most expensive production. So the director is Robert Jess Roth, and his success started in the parks. So he directed a lot of the live shows in the parks.
Mhm.
And he had gone to Eisner and Katzenberg with the idea of, you know, we should be doing musicals. We should be doing a Broadway and West End. And they were like, oh, no, 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 no. And
course.
he had gone to them about Mary Poppins back in 1984,
Wow.
and it was declined because of the cost of investment and time concerns. And then they obviously must have kept him in mind. So when Beauty and the Beast became the success that it did, and because he was having success in the parks doing his shows, um, they thought he would be good choice because it would give them control
Mm.
as well, because he was an unknown. So he wouldn't have had that power and ego to demand. And the fact that this was something that he'd gone to them about before. They were basically saying, "Oh, do you know what? We remember. We're going to give it to you, but it's because we want to control everything that you're doing," which is annoying, and it's sad, but that was what it was like. I mean, it's still like that now.
Yeah.
Anyway, the book of the musical. So the woman that was put in charge of writing the story for the musical, it was turned into a book, and it was written by Linda Wolverton. And she was also a writer of the screenplay. So she was part of the original film, and she was given the job of writing. I don't think she'd done a musical before, so this was first.
Mm.
And then obviously, yes, the music. So the music was obviously Menken and Ashman, but obviously Ashman has passed way before this comes about. So Tim Rice is brought on board. Now,
Okay.
I believe that he was brought on towards the end of the making of the film, because Ashman had died before it was finished.
Mm.
So he had a slight involvement. I think it was maybe to do with Aladdin as well. So he was already in there. And then obviously, as we know, he goes on to then work with Elton John
Yeah.
with The Lion King.
Please don't sing.
I won't. I wasn't going to.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
So yeah, so they are credited for the musical. Menken, Ashman, and Tim Rice. Um, it's the first adaptation of a Disney film for Broadway,
Mhm.
although apparently a Snow White was adapted for stage at the Radio City, but I think at the time that wasn't classed as Broadway, or I think Radio City Music Hall is separate. That's not part of Broadway. Is that where they do like maybe like concerts or something now?
Radio City.
Yeah, it's in New York.
Is that not where the Rockefeller is?
Yeah, it could be. So I think it is where they do concerts, but it's not to do with musicals. So yeah. And even though a musical or stage Broadway version of The Little Mermaid was done, that came later. So this was the first. Um, all 8 songs from the film were reused, and 6 new ones were written. Um, I thought there would have been more, to be honest, because I picture a musical being, 2 hours, 45 minutes each way, or an hour each way. And I would have expected a bit more. So I'm surprised. So there must be a lot of acting in between for them to stretch. just 14 songs.
So Be Our Guest, when I've seen it, has basically gone on for a long time.
All right, okay. I mean,
And
I suppose they reprise some songs as well, don't they? Where they
yeah,
re-sing in different circumstances and they might change the lyrics. So yeah, it might not include that, but yeah. Um, so in order to adapt for the stage, the servants were changed so that they were gradually turning into their objects rather than already their objects, which, because I've not seen it, when I was reading up about the musical, I thought, oh God, that's quite good. Now, I don't know how drastic the changes are when they start to evolve into the objects, but I have seen pictures and I've seen the man, especially as Lumiere, where he's got you know, the wick on his head and both hands. Um, but yeah, the that was adapted for the stage. And then Babette, the wardrobe, and there was another character which I've not written down. They were broadened into fully formed supporting characters, which we do see in the live action film, especially the wardrobe. I mean, she's almost got a proper
yeah,
part,
she's yeah,
like Mrs. Potts.
yeah.
But yeah, so their parts were given more depth in the musical. Um, it was so you know how they do this whole off Broadway, where it's not on Broadway and they try it out in
Yeah.
a little theater. So they did this in Houston, and I think it was for 4 weeks. And then because of its success, it premiered on Broadway on the 18th of April, 1994, starring Susan Egan.
Oh, I recognize that name.
Yeah, so she plays Meg in
Yes.
Hercules. And she's also, I mean, she's a Broadway. She's been in Little Shop of Horrors,
Mm.
all sorts. And she is in, there is Alan Menken. Um, it's on YouTube. And if you just Google Alan Menken concert, right? And you should find it. And basically, I think it's held in Austria. And he's being honored by this worldwide music award for composing.
Mhm.
And all these singers pay tribute to him by singing all his songs from all basically the Disney
Yeah, back up.
hits. And she's there and she sings a song from Little Shop of Horrors.
Hmm.
But yeah, she's not aged. She just looks exactly the same. She looks amazing. But yeah, so she was the original Belle. And then Terrence Mann was the Beast. He was a Broadway star. I couldn't really find he hadn't done film or anything like that, and I didn't know him from anything else because I've not seen many musicals, as you know. Um, it ran on Broadway for 5,461 performances and ran for 13 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Um, Originally, theatre critics did not approve and they didn't like the unknown.
Mm.
Um, Hold on, what else were written? Didn't want oh yeah, and they didn't want families in the audience. I I've written that down as a note. So it got harsh criticism to begin with.
So there was a period of time when um, basically, and it happened here in London as well, where there was a lot of complaints that Disney were taking over the West End and Broadway.
Right, yes, no, now I remember why I wrote that down because I think that leads into another fact. But yes, no, that's right. When it, because of its success, theatre critics were afraid that instead of the elite being able to go to the West End, you know, either people with money or couples or just basically over 18s,
Mm.
and that, we keep it of a certain class. But when Disney decided, no, we can make musicals, and they went to do their thing, it was like, oh no, because now children are going to come. Um, which I don't know. I can't. I'm not really going to comment because, like I say, I'm not a theatre goer. I cringe with musicals. I really struggle to watch them. Um,
Yeah,
and
you know what?
I
I will
know
say
it's
on that.
different to going to the movies,
I
and
will
it's
say
different to going to a concert as well. So I can't make an opinion.
I have never been disturbed at a theatre by a child. However, when we went to go see Here and Now, I was very much disturbed by that lady sat next to me.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's the other thing. I mean, like, where do you draw the line? I mean, the critics back then. I mean, I don't know what theatres were like back then, but like you've just said, we've recently been to see a musical, and I actually enjoyed it.
Yes.
Um, but half the audience were steaming.
Mm.
It's like, where do they draw the line? I mean, we get that now in concerts. I mean, when we went to the Steps concert, there was that guy that was so drunk, he was spilling his drink everywhere, and they hadn't even come on yet.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, did he even remember that concert? And, nowadays, airplanes, we hear all these horror stories of people where they've gotten so drunk, they've become so abusive that they've had to be handcuffed to their seat, and then they're arrested or escorted off the flight when they land, or the flight's been delayed because they've had to be taken off the plane because of the state that they're in. Um, so it's like, well, the critics don't want kids, but at the same time, it's like, but you'll have rude, drunken adults that have no shame and won't be quiet. Um, yeah, I think it's gone now where, yeah, I think at the time there was a certain type of people that went to a musical, and now it's become so um
Cool.
available.
Yeah.
That's the word, available to everyone, that those who have no shame will go and parade with, their true self in
Yes.
all the alcohol that they've consumed
Do you know it's funny with
in the
just
hour before.
when we went to go see Bat Out of Hell, this gentleman, bear in mind we were in the third row, this gentleman was in the front row and decided to hold up his tablet to record the show.
Oh,
And it's like, what are you doing?
yeah.
So yes, I must admit, when it comes to things like this, like with the fireworks at the parks, adults ruin that for me. I'd much rather be there where just kids watching it
Yeah.
because they sit and watch it. They don't ruin everything.
No, that's it. Exactly. I think it's a shame that critics were so worried about children being in the theatre when really it's adults that have actually, I mean, um, even recently, we've, I think it was last year, we had the tour of The Queen of the Night, which was the Whitney Houston musical.
Mm.
And those stories of people being removed from the audience because they would stop singing. I mean, when we went to that musical, because it was based on a pop band that we know, in my head, obviously, I was singing along, like, but I was able to control myself. And
Yes.
I know there were people in the audience that were singing along. And it did get to a point where the last few songs, there were those two girls in the front row that just couldn't help themselves. And they ended up doing the dance moves. Like
But
they just thought, fuck it, I am not waiting any longer. I am embracing my fandom here.
just dropped the F bomb.
I know. Oops.
That's the first time in this podcast.
No, I think we've said it before. I'm sure we have.
I haven't. I try not to. Two
Well,
of
we're down
those.
as R rated.
Well, two of those, and we'd have to be an 18 plus. You can have
But
one
yeah.
to be 15 and over.
Right. So moving on.
Yes.
Anyone who has an opinion about, theatre etiquette, leave it in the comments. Let
Yeah.
us know.
Yeah.
Who's worse, children or adults?
Adults.
I'm pretty sure we've just agreed that adults are
Yeah.
worse. Yeah. Yeah. So it has been that it is so from that note that I've made, I then made another note which I've just seen. It changed theatre audiences and productions.
Mm.
So there you go. So costumes. They were designed by Anne Howard Ward. It's a double barrel name of Howard Ward, I think.
We need to learn how to write better.
I know.
Like our handwriting is just
So she based her designs on both animators' original designs as well as the rock art movement, the Rococo.
okay.
I know in the film he says Baroque, but it's Rococo. I've written it down. After researching,
don't fix it.
yeah. After researching how clothing and household objects looked during the 18th century. The director summarized Beauty and the Beast as a story about seeing past the exterior of a person and into his and her heart. So that was the theme.
Ain't that lovely?
The Beast. Sorry, say that again.
Ain't that lovely?
It is, yeah. The Beast was made into a more threatening yet sympathetic character, and Belle was adapted into a more headstrong and determined heroine, which is probably what we've got in the live action, I think.
Yeah.
Both Menken and Rice initially approached the project with some resistance. Menken's obviously emotional attachment to the music made him fear Disney's vision of a Broadway musical, and that it would transform Beauty and the Beast into an attraction too similar to what you'd find at the parks. And Rice was hesitant to replace Ashman in fear of worsening Beauty and the Beast. However, the Menken Rice songs are sometimes billed as additional songs composed by. So sometimes on the posters it will say songs by Ashman and Menken, and then underneath it will say additional songs composed by Menken and Rice and whatnot. Most of the new material focused on character development. So Gaston's Me song, Belle's Home song, and Beast's If I Can't Love Her. And Gaston and LeFou's villainous number, Maison de Lune, helps give Belle and Beast a chance to change into their ballroom outfits. Um, right, so this I technically already knew a bit about this, but I didn't know how it happened.
Mm.
So in 1998, so obviously it premiered in 1994, right? So only 4 years later, um, Toni Braxton
Mm.
was Belle.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah. Now, I'm really surprised that I hadn't seen the musical just based on this fact because in my house we were massive Toni Braxton fans. Like my dad absolutely loved her, and like her first album, which is self-titled, he brought home one day from coming offshore, and oh my god, that was on repeat. And then our second one, which is the one with all that ballad, Unbreak My Heart.
I was just about
Um,
to sing then, but you beat me to it.
yeah, so those two albums were constantly on in my house. Huge, huge fan. So Toni Braxton, if you're listening. So yeah, and I did know that she did play Belle, but I
Mm.
just didn't know how she'd gone about. So she was approached by Disney, and she'd said in a meeting that she would do it if they wrote a song specially for her. So
Mm.
if they included a song in the musical that was written for her, which I think's ballsy of her.
Yeah, a little bit.
But I suppose in 1998, Unbreak My Heart was the big, like one of the
Mhm.
biggest hits.
Yeah.
I mean, it had a remix, it was being played in the clubs. So she was clearly milking that status at the time and thought, well, yeah, if you want me to play Belle, you write me a song.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I couldn't find out why she was approached. Maybe it was because she was like the it girl at the time, like the one, I mean, because bearing in mind, Britney hadn't really broken out yet or anyone like that. This was just before, our teen boppers.
Yeah.
So maybe it just was sort of the right moment for her. And yeah, I think I read that they took her for lunch and Tim Rice was there. And she'd said that she would only do it if he wrote her a new song for just for her, like for her to specifically sing. And the song was called A Change in Me, and it's still in the musical now.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was positioned so the ballad lyrically addresses the ways in which Belle's initial motivations have ultimately changed during her improvement, explaining to Maurice that she has matured and no longer longs for what she originally cited in the Belle Reprise song.
Mm.
So when she's saying, there must be
Oh, of
um,
course she's singing.
yeah, it changes. So our attitude changes, and that's what this song um addresses.
Mm.
Um, and then my last fact about the musical, it ran in the West End, really surprising, 1997 to 1999. That was it. 2 years.
Oh,
Yeah, very shocked. Really shocked at that.
I mean, I do know around this time, so theatre and musicals, they were not popular.
Popular.
And ironic you should sing that song because it was actually Wicked that, became the hit of that point. So the fact that Um, and
I
also,
mean, that comes like 5 years later on Broadway.
yeah,
I
but
mean, we don't get that till what, 2006, 2007?
yeah, so that's
Yeah.
kind of the turning point for musicals,
Do you mean modern musicals?
modern musicals. Well, the
Yeah.
thing is people, there was a,
Ones that aren't written by Andrew Lloyd Webber.
yes. Well, it's because people weren't going to the theatre. People
Because it
weren't
was
going,
expensive.
and a lot of things were kind of,
Mm.
they weren't running. And in fact, I think it was around 2018, 2019 time where Disney, especially, were kind of considered the saviors of the musical.
Well, they
Because,
would have had three on the go at that time.
well, if you think there was Frozen, there was
Aladdin
Aladdin just coming
and The
out,
Lion King.
Lion King, Mary Poppins was coming.
Yeah, that comes and goes. I mean, yeah.
They obviously there'd been things in the past and they'd done, but
Yeah,
people
but
were
to have
so,
three at
yeah,
the same time
yeah.
on Broadway.
So a lot of
On
people
Broadway.
were starting to kind of go back to the theatres and things. And then obviously COVID happened.
I
And
mean, clearly, I think from that fact, the fact that Beauty and the Beast, only ran 2 years in the West End, shows that the British theatre audience were very resistant to Disney coming
yeah,
until obviously The Lion King. But I'm sure The Lion King was 1999 in the West End. But we'll get to that when we speak to The Lion King. But I mean, obviously, we know that when it's American, it's Broadway first, then West End, and vice versa. So, but yeah, I just find that very surprising because I know it's Disney, but at the same time, it's not like it's got bad songs and it's
no,
got a traditional love story and that transformation. I mean, like I said earlier, my grandma always, always raved about how magical the transformation was. And like I've even read now in amateur productions, because they get all the technical
yeah,
instructions as well. So how to make the costumes, how to make the sets. And one of those is clearly, how to do the transformation. And even amateur productions have been given rave reviews on how they've pulled it off.
yeah.
And I can't believe it's not come back since. Like, it's still only amateur productions that keep it running.
Because they've stopped the Aladdin, and have they
Yeah, that's
stopped?
on a hiatus at the minute.
And have they stopped Frozen as well?
I don't know because I was like I say, I'm not a theatre person, so I
Because
don't know.
I know,
But Aladdin, I think Aladdin did a tour this year.
mm,
Lion King did it last year. So I'm hoping that Frozen does one. I mean, to be honest, I wished but they're just so expensive, even when they do a tour. I mean, we've still never, I mean, how many times has Mary Poppins come to our theatre? And I just can't justify the price.
I mean, I won't go
No.
see Mary Poppins anyway, but
So,
it's just me.
but I have put on Disney Plus, they've got the concert at the Royal Albert Hall,
Hmm.
which honors Disney on Broadway.
Yeah.
And it's hosted by your Doctor Who guy from Torchwood. Oh, what's his face? He's Canadian and Scottish.
Yeah, it's going to wind you up, that is.
Oh, um,
Oh,
you know
oh,
who I'm speaking about, don't
I
you?
do, yeah.
Who was it again?
No, 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 you have to say.
Oh, Barrowman, John Barrowman. Did I get it right?
You did, yes.
Yeah. So he hosts it, and it's at the Royal Albert Hall, but it's like 2018.
Okay.
I think it's not long after Frozen is debuted in the West End.
I mean, he's been
Um,
cancelled now, so that's a bit of a awkward.
wow. Well, luckily he is good in this, and he sings a Beast song actually. Um, but yeah, and that's really good. So at least I've got that because they
Yeah.
do everything, even the ones that didn't even get to the West End, like Tarzan. Like I had no
Okay.
idea that that even had a musical production.
Yeah, yeah, I was
Um,
surprised.
yeah, but yeah, so no, for those listening, that want that Disney Broadway, if you've not watched it, it's literally called Disney on Broadway at the Royal Albert Hall. And it's on Disney Plus, and that's a good one. If it's not on your Disney Plus, if you're in a different country to the UK, then you'll find it on YouTube, and it's a good one. I think it's like 2 hours long. I just put it on in the background sometimes when I'm cleaning.
Whereas from now on, you'll be put in Belle's magical world.
Oh yeah,
Yes. So you mentioned about the live show being at Disney World in the parks.
yes.
So that's in Hollywood Studios. It has its own stage.
Oh,
It has its own kind of theatre area where you walk along to. It's near Phantasmic.
okay.
And yeah, it is really, really good. So you do have people in big costumes. The only thing that I will say about it is, do you remember a few years ago the Disney Store brought out um plush but with like sayings on them, and there was the
Yes.
Lumiere, and the Lumiere was kind of chunky.
Yeah.
That's what he looks like in the show.
Okay.
But once
So
you get,
like the Disney on Ice costumes,
yeah,
right?
but the whole thing is really, really good.
Okay.
What isn't so good though is when you go over to Epcot and
Okay.
there is a sing along with Beauty and the Beast. Now, I don't know whether I was being punked or or if there was hidden cameras or what, but that was awfully bad.
Really?
Yes. Angela Lansbury was clearly under some kind of contract that she had to
Oh God.
do it, because I don't believe that she would have done that. I mean, she does it good. She's like the narrator, and she does it well. She's a professional, but
I'm assuming it's on screen.
yeah. So basically, it's she's a voiceover, and basically, it says that LeFou is the one that gets Belle and Beast together.
Oh God.
It uses animation from the film and animation specifically made for the attraction. It's noticeably different. Um, the story's bad. The the way it's presented is bad. It's literally a screen with a curtain, and the curtain
Hmm.
comes back, and it's literally a screen.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. It was empty when we went. Empty.
Oh,
Where's
listeners, if you have suffered like Stephen has watching this,
yeah.
can you let us know, please? Because I go next in November 2025. So do is Stephen exaggerating or is it really not that bad?
So the first time we went, we
Mhm.
didn't know it existed. Bear in mind, I love Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
We knew there was a show before we went, and like the second time, we kind of stumbled upon it, and yeah, we should have just carried on walking. But we the thing about the parks is we try everything.
Oh yeah, I know you
You
do.
know, kiddies rides, educational
Yeah.
rides, thrill rides. We go around the hotels and everything.
Hmm.
Um, Talking about hotel, there is a lounge in the Grand Floridian, and the lounge is called the Enchanted Rose, where
Okay.
you can buy alcohol and drinks. Like,
Yes, and obviously recently at the Disneyland Paris Hotel, there is
yes.
Lumiere's, which is
Mhm.
the very fancy
Eh,
table service restaurant
yes.
where, you know, the princesses and princes come round to meet you while you're eating.
Well,
And you can get a view of the castle.
in Epcot as
Oh,
well, there is a meet and greet with Belle in a peasant outfit.
okay.
Interestingly enough, we put a few posts out on Threads a few weeks ago, and someone posted a picture of them and Belle in her yellow dress. I
Hmm.
have never ever seen a meet and greet with Belle in her ball gown.
Oh, well, we have.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's
Yeah,
a
our
first.
last trip, and actually our first and last trip.
Okay. So I've never
Yeah.
seen it, and you've seen it
So
twice.
at the Princess Pavilion, the first one, she was a Spanish belle.
Okay.
Yes. And which was fine. You know, it was still like, oh my God, it was Belle.
Yeah.
But Spanish Belle.
Yeah.
Whereas this last one, amazing. And I don't know if people are aware of this now, but at the Princess Pavilion in Disneyland Paris, you no longer get told who the princesses are inside. And it's obviously because certain princesses get bigger queues than others. And that place is, I mean, out the door. It literally
Always
is
2 hours.
constantly busy all day, every day, where families queuing up to get that 2 second photo. Um,
You've been in one.
but we just happened to come across where the disabled access had a bit of a short queue. And it was kind of like, we haven't done this since our first trip 5 years ago. Let's do it one more time, see who we get. And yeah, and I asked the cast member, oh, what princess? I asked first how long the wait was. She said 20 minutes with Jacob's pass.
Yeah.
And then I said, what princess is it? And she says, oh, it's a secret, it's a surprise. We're not allowed to tell. And it must have been quite a new thing because she had to tell guests as they
Yeah.
were exiting not to reveal who they'd been to see because there was two in there. You just didn't know which one you were going to get. And I couldn't believe that we got Belle. I thought it was quite like magical
Yeah.
that that was and she was amazing.
Good.
And the fact that I'm going to try and not get upset, but the fact that Jacob spoke to her as well, which was, you know, like, oh,
That was a moment. That was a moment.
it was such a moment. And like even Belle said at the end, you know, oh, I'm going to remember you for the
Oh,
rest of my day. Because for those who don't know, my Jacob is non-verbal autistic, but he is starting to speak. And like it's not even a film that he's watched as well that much.
that's how
Um,
good it is. You don't have to watch the film. He's probably watched the third one.
oh, don't. Um, but yeah, and he said, you know, Belle, and oh, we've got some fantastic photos, which I will post.
Hmm.
So yeah, I can't believe you've not seen her in the gold dress because I feel like she's always in the gold dress.
Well, I mean, with the meet and greet kind of thing. So at there is the Be Our Guest restaurant, Walt Disney World, Magic Kingdom. And it used to be when it first opened that it was Belle and Beast. But since COVID, it's just Beast.
Oh, okay.
Um, I'm not going to tell you too much about the restaurant because you need to
Okay.
experience that for yourself.
Right.
But on the outside, as you're walking around the park, there
Hmm.
is a depth perception thing going on, and it looks like the Beast's castle is in the distance. And you are walking towards it, and you're crossing a bridge, and you kind of walk um, in the hills, like Rocky Mountains thing.
Uh-huh.
That's how you kind of get to the castle door.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, inside is magic.
Hmm.
You can actually get grey stuff. You can try the
Okay.
grey
It's
stuff.
delicious.
It is delicious. Um, and yeah, you'll be as a fan of the film, that and the stage show in Hollywood were the pinnacle.
Hmm.
Um, just a little bit further down in Magic Kingdom, there's Gaston's Tavern.
Is that
Um,
a restaurant?
no, it's a pub.
A pub?
Yes, I don't.
What, where you can buy alcohol?
I'm not sure because I've
Oh,
never gone in to buy drinks or
I'll
anything.
send Ben in. He'll investigate.
Yeah, we haven't done that. It's a future trip. But
Okay.
a statue outside of I believe it's Belle and the Sheep.
Oh, okay.
And there's a shop um,
Right.
as well, which is done up a little bit like the bookshop in the film.
Oh, fab.
And there's a meet and greet with Gaston.
Yeah, we've saw Gaston. He's brilliant.
I've um, had a good hug with Gaston.
Oh,
Yes. Um, and the characters are also featured in Enchanted Tales with Belle,
okay.
um, which is like a little. Uh, it's an event kind of thing. It's not a ride or anything. And they're also on the storybook boats.
Oh, yeah.
So,
But you can only see Belle.
yeah, but the castle and whatnot, it's all in different
Mm.
ones. There's different.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, they're the main things. Obviously, they're featured in firework displays, Phantasmic, parades. Belle is almost always at the front of the parades. Um,
Yeah.
I think the order they do it now is Belle is at the front and Frozen is at the back.
Mm.
To start on a high, end on a high.
I think in Disneyland Paris, it's Aurora that's at the front.
Oh, because of the castle.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And yes.
And obviously Tokyo.
Yes, well, the thing with me is because we plan on going to Tokyo, I can't
I
do
know. I
searching for
know. I
it,
mean,
so
I
a
have
little bit
seen
like fingers
vlogs.
in the ears.
We know it's there.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, it looks amazing. Um, but yeah, it's one of those where like I want to go to Tokyo just for that ride.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, we've had this, I'm sure we've had this discussion. Me and Ben have had this discussion a lot, since obviously being to Disneyland Paris a few times over the last couple of years. And Beauty and the Beast, we've uh, felt, especially in Disneyland Paris, has no representation whatsoever.
It
And it's
really bugs me.
shocking
Yeah.
because the movie's set in Paris.
Yep.
It's a French tale,
Yep.
and yet they have a park there. And apart from Belle, and Gaston only comes out usually around Halloween time.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no ride, there's no show,
Nope.
there's not even like a parade or anything like to represent, like they've had a Frozen parade, you know, but not a Beauty and the Beast. I've never, and they don't even have a restaurant. Nothing, absolutely nothing.
It really bugs me that the castle is not Beauty and the Beast. Because I understand they probably didn't have time to change it or anything like that because they didn't know how big the film was going to be. But in hindsight,
Well, if you think about it, right, let me just make this point. When Disneyland opened in 1955,
yeah.
Disney was using Sleeping Beauty as the princess for that park
Hmm.
for an opening. And he claimed that that castle was Sleeping Beauty's castle. Her film didn't come out till 4 years later.
Yeah.
And yet, Beauty and the Beast was released 6 months before Disneyland Paris opened.
Yeah. They could have
And
named
like,
it.
even when like I go through my photos, right, from Disneyland Paris quite a lot. Luckily, like Finlay likes looking at them as well. And see the photos of the parades that I've got when I was there. Beauty and the Beast aren't in them.
Mm.
They are only in. There was like this nighttime thing. I don't remember. I've just got photograph where they're on Molly Brown's boat. And
Okay.
that's the only photo I've got of Belle and the Beast seen in that park. And it's on Molly Brown's boat, right Thunder Mountain.
It just, I just don't know what they're playing at, to be honest with you. It just,
No, I don't get it at all.
I could half understand because obviously work went into the castle, with the dragon and the stained glass windows and all of that. I can understand them not wanting to, lose that
But
money.
it's the fact that you use stained glass to tell the story
Yeah,
of the,
yeah,
what is it, prelogue
yeah.
to
And
Beauty and the
it's,
Beast?
yeah. And it's
Like,
like, because
what?
the thing for me is like, for the majority of people, really, when you say princess, name 10 princesses. Sleeping Beauty, does she really? She's not one of the first that you mentioned. No one sat
She
there going,
speaks the
Sleeping Beauty.
least for a start.
She's what, sorry?
She speaks the least for a
Yeah,
start.
she's just right now, as we are in right at the end of 2024, the to not have anything permanent with
I
Beauty
know.
in Disneyland Paris is almost a bit of an insult.
I think so. And I think that obviously, when they did the Disneyland Hotel, right, and did that up, now that was done already in Japan.
Hmm.
So Disneyland Tokyo already had, and you can go in the Beauty and the Beast suite. Now, I've seen videos of the Beauty and the Beast suite at Tokyo, and it's nothing like the princess themed suites that you get at Disneyland Paris. Um, because like the other supposedly themed hotels in Disneyland Paris, they just stick photos on the wall and that, it's themed.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, this is your Beauty and the Beast room because look, there's a picture.
yeah,
There's the Beast and and Belle dancing in the ballroom. There's that photo above the bed. So this is the Beauty and the Beast room. Um, yeah, and so and yeah, the fact that The restaurant might be called Lumiere's, but it's not themed around Beauty and the Beast because you can meet any prince or princess,
Yeah.
and it's not, the food is not designed around that particular film. It's not as if it's only Beauty and the Beast photos. It's just called that. So I wouldn't class that as a Beauty and the Beast restaurant.
No.
They've just called it that because I don't know why, but yeah, because you can meet any Disney princess and you don't know who you're going to meet. It's different all the time.
Yeah, that's it. I just think for a film as big as this,
Yeah, to have the lack of representation is,
in Paris as well,
I
like
know.
you could say the same thing about, oh, The Little Mermaid. Why is there not a lot of representation there? And it's like, yeah, you'd be right, but she isn't set in Paris.
No,
You know,
and she's not as big as Belle.
no, and also like with Belle is,
I mean, when Illuminations is on, I mean, the fact that like when we went to see it at Disneyland Paris, like the have the live action
yeah, that,
film clips, and it gets so much claps
yeah,
and cheers when that comes on, and it's Celine Dion's.
yeah,
I can't remember the song, but the How a Moment Lasts Forever, whatever that one is, and that comes on, and that gets just as much cheer as Let It Go.
I really hope that the um fireworks, the light parade at the not the light parade, sorry, the light show and fireworks at Magic Kingdom in Florida are still the same as when we last went for when you went, because that is how you do it,
Okay,
and that is how you use Beauty and the Beast.
right.
Like
I think it'll be Christmas though when I go, so I don't think I'll see it.
we
But
went
I
to,
think I have seen it on YouTube because I've watched
no, we went to Christmas
after.
this time
What?
because we came back in December.
And it was
That's
on.
when we went.
Okay.
And it was on. But yeah, that is how you utilize Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. So Disney, if you're listening,
Bob,
we want more Beauty and the Beast at Disneyland Paris. This is ridiculous.
it's like thanks for Lion King, that's coming up, and thanks
But
for Frozen. That's, we're grateful of those, but at the same
mm,
time, where's my bell?
yeah,
Where's my beast?
I know. So lastly, to finish us off with because so far we've talked about a threequel, which Disney have done many times. Musical, which because of the success they've continued. Parks representation. We know that a lot of other films get that more than others. Hopefully Disney will make more representation for Beauty and the Beast in the future.
Well, they've got to listen to our
Especially,
suggestion.
yeah, especially in Disneyland Paris.
Yeah.
The fact that Tokyo has a ride and Florida has the Be Our Guest restaurant, and all that. It's like, come on, Bob.
We don't want the sing along. Sorry, Bob. Just
No,
before,
we don't want to sing along.
do not
We
give us the
want
sing along.
we want the ride in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want the ride in Japan.
Yeah.
Um, so to finish off our Beauty and the Beast and beyond, um, is the Disney on Ice. So I went to see loads of Disney on Ice when I was a kid, right? And I definitely saw at least four productions in the early 90s, and one of them was this, and it was the movie. So The Beauty and the Beast, not a mixture, not the crap you get now where it's a song from Moana, a song from Coco, a song from Frozen. No, it was the full film from start to finish, just on ice.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it was before it went on stage.
Okay.
It's old school. And yeah, so it premiered in 1992, which is fab because that's quite good considering the film would have been only out for a year.
Yeah.
They were on it.
Yeah.
And
More
yeah,
than Disneyland Paris.
yeah. It ran till 1996, which would have probably been the beginning of when they started to do the miscellaneous versions of Disney on Ice. Because I have also seen the Aladdin and Peter Pan on ice,
Mm.
as well as a mixture. The Peter Pan one might have been included in a mixture one, but I can't remember. But I just remember seeing Peter Pan. I don't really remember anything else. Peter Pan, Aladdin, and Beauty and the Beast, I remember. And I've still got some of the merch.
Okay.
Yeah. I had, so from Beauty and the Beast, I had Mrs. Potts piggy bank. Yeah. And a chip cup.
Oh.
So all those people that were racing to Primark a few years ago,
Yes.
I had one from the Disney on Ice. I think it was a slushy. So you paid for a slushy and you got to keep the cup.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But it was like a proper chip cup with a handle, and I used it like to have my juice out of and whatnot. I had a spinning light, which I had up until a couple of years ago and it broke.
Oh.
But I had that for a really long time. Um, from Aladdin, Holly got a Raja teddy, and I
Mm.
got an Abu teddy, and he had Velcro hands, so he could like hang.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Peter Pan, I can't remember what we got from Peter Pan. No, can't remember. But yeah. And I still have, I've got it here to show you. I've got the program of the Disney.
Okay.
Look at that.
Oh, wow.
So for those listening, it's like a silver foil cover with the cartoon drawing of Belle and the Beast, but on ice skates. I will post a picture on Instagram. And I've got my rose.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it came with a rose, and the rose still has its tag on, and
Mm.
it says Walt Disney's World on Ice. Um, does it have a date on it? No. But yeah, the book, 1993
Oh, wow.
would have been when I saw it. But yeah, I mean, look at that. I mean, talk about 90s retro.
I was gonna say.
Um, let's see if I can find a good one. Oh, there's them in the library. Look,
They're quite
you
good
see.
drawings. Sometimes you see, I mean, Mrs. Potts looks a bit odd, but oh, oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, and it was good. Trying to think. I mean, look at the action shot with Gaston and the Beast.
I
I
think the
mean,
Gaston
sorry,
I
I'm
met,
trying to. I mean, look.
the
I mean,
Gaston that I
Gaston's.
met in Florida was more handsome than that one. That's all I've got to say.
But like for me, I mean, 93, I would have been 7, 8,
I'd not started school yet.
7, 8. So, to have seen the film in those days, it's not like now. I would have saw the film once and
Yeah,
it would have been, imprinted in my brain and would have gone to see anything that had Beauty and the Beast. And
yeah.
I'm so lucky that we got that on ice. And we all went as a whole family. Like there was like 10, 12 of us.
Oh,
My
okay.
grandma, granda, Isabel, mum, Holly, my cousins. Yeah, we all went. I think even like my uncles went as well. So yeah. But yeah, so it ran until 1996, and the show is notable for being the first Disney on Ice production to include Beauty and the Beast and the third to incorporate characters from the Disney Afternoon Club. So
Hmm.
it had like Scrooge, um, Goofy, um, I think Huey, Dewey, and Louie, maybe,
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, those. And yeah, Mickey plays the show conductor. So that was how he was involved. So he like would come on first and he would begin to tell the story with the help of his friends.
Yes.
I actually found photos on the internet, which I've saved on my phone, so I'll
Yeah.
post them as well. And yeah, it was the first to feature a instrumental version of Human Again, which I
Hmm.
don't remember, but
A
yeah,
new song.
I know that would eventually be included
Hmm.
in the film later, a few years later. But yeah, so yes, so that was the last thing to do with Beauty and the Beast. I mean, I've got two other things to show you, which again, I will post on Instagram, um, so that the listeners can see if they wish. But I don't know, I can't remember how we got the lithograph. I've got that one.
Oh, yes.
So for those listening, it's a still of the Something There song. So the beast is feeding the birds
The
with
birds, remember, he doesn't like birds, according to that third film.
oh, shite. And I also have the piano um, music for Beauty and the Beast because I used to play the piano.
Hmm.
Yes. And it
Yeah.
says music by Alan Menken, lyrics by Howard Ashman.
Hmm.
And yeah, this is like in mint condition, like it's not ripped or anything. I think my uncle gave it to me because it was $3.50. So he obviously brought it back
Yeah.
from America. It doesn't have a date on it. But yeah, so there's some, mementos
Hmm.
to show you. So yeah, if those listening didn't know already how much I like this film, then they do now.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did used to have a really old Beast Teddy, like an original.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but thanks to having children, that ended up in the toilet a few
Oh,
years
okay.
ago. And so yeah, he didn't recover.
No.
So yeah, he's no longer with us.
I remember when we were selling the Beast stuff at the Disney store, when the Beast plush came back.
Oh yeah, he was ugly.
Yeah. Um, yeah.
But he sold really well because it was like
Yeah.
finally getting Beauty and the Beast stuff.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna. I think it's because when I was there, it celebrated its 20th year, and obviously they started putting Beauty and the Beast products there to celebrate the 20th year. And it's a bit like, why isn't this here all the time?
Well, it's like I said earlier, like the Primark when that got that stuff in. I
Yeah,
mean, it got to a point where, it was on Instagram about people like fighting
yeah,
over the stock
yeah,
and queues outside when, because I think I got you Cogsworth. I
yeah.
went to get
So
one, or was it the
I
Lumiere?
I think you got both of those for
Did I
me.
get both?
because I had you
That
going.
alone should Disney should be looking at that and knowing
Yeah,
whenever they do merch for that particular film, people go crazy.
yeah.
And there's just not enough of it. Oh, but yeah, we'll stick Elsa on everything and bloody Tinkerbell or
I am.
Stitch.
I am feeling
We've
a little
already
bit
said how
frozen
much we're
out.
sick of the Stitch stuff.
I am
But
feeling a little bit frozen out because the song Let It Go is everywhere
mm,
still after a decade. Every parade has it on. It's almost like it's overshadowing other things. And for me, if you was to put on the, like a projection or something, if you was to put up there and say to me, "Oh, what would you like to see up there?" I'd be like, "Well, Beauty and the Beast."
yeah.
And it's no, we're actually going to do, 10-minute scene of
Mhm.
Elsa and Anna,
Mhm.
which you've seen in the parade and you've seen in the show, and then you've gone over to the thing in Walt Disney Studios, and then and they're on meet and greet. And then it's like I just want to see Belle.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, Disney, I feel like, again, Bob,
Mm,
you need to be paying attention to this because, you know, it's one of those where you do anything to do with Beauty and the Beast or bring any merch out and it will sell. And yeah, we just don't get enough of it. Not good quality stuff anyway.
yeah.
And yeah, bring it in the parks and bring back the musical. Come
Yeah.
on.
Come on, Bob.
Yeah, we need the musical back.
I mean, I do
Um,
feel that he did listen to me the last time though. So a few weeks ago, it wasn't on a podcast, but we were talking about Lilo and Stitch. I can't remember if I was talking to you or with Jess or with Luke, but I was basically saying if with this live action Stitch, if they do not do live action versions of the original trailers, where he kind of like interrupts The Lion King or Beauty and the Beast and whatnot.
yeah.
If they don't do that, then they've wasted my time, they've wasted their time, they've wasted everyone.
Yeah, I
Well,
know.
at the
And
time of recording this, they've just done the Lion King one.
yeah,
And, it could have been Bob I was talking to. I have been
it could
elderly
have been.
recently. So it probably, I do get that he does listen. So
Yeah. It's the last time you saw him in Sainsbury's.
yeah, well, we've all had to, uh, what is it called? Downgrade.
Uh,
So
yeah.
we're in LD now.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I was
yeah.
fighting him over the last Pandu Chocolat. Well,
Um,
on that note,
yeah, I think we've
we've covered
yeah,
this film.
we have definitely covered this film.
Yeah.
I mean, people, we're not doing this for every film. This is just
No, no,
because
this is
this is our favorite, and we felt that when because of this, how good this film was, we got what came after, the hits, and it kind of was the peak of
yeah,
Disney and its legacy. So, and there was a couple of things, because of it. So not only run of successful movies, but run of successful musicals on Broadway and the Disney on Ice as well. And it's a shame I can't say park representation because it's not had enough.
yeah,
But I think proving the success of the ride in Tokyo, which I think is only 18 months old. Um, so there's still a chance that we might get it.
Yeah.
And Bob, please, you know, it needs to be in Disneyland Paris. It's
Yeah.
set in Paris. It's a
Yeah.
French story.
It's a
Give it to
no-brainer.
Disneyland Paris. We want it. Don't give it to the Americans. They have enough.
They've got a castle and everything. Um, so obviously that ends our 2024 as well.
Yes, it does.
But we are continuing with the Renaissance era.
Yeah, and we've
Um,
got another bonus episode as well to
yeah.
come. Um,
Um, so obviously we had special guests for The Little Mermaid and The Rescuers Down Under.
yeah, and both those guests are returning.
Yes. Um, Beauty and the Beast has had a month's dedication.
Yes,
So
we
yeah,
milked it.
hopefully we continue on this wave of the Renaissance and bring you more special episodes in 2025.
Yes, so have a happy new year, everyone.
Yes.
Um, have you got any like resolutions or things that you want to achieve in 2025?
Well, the big thing for me and Luke is obviously youngsters. So
Yes.
that's kind of going to take over our year a little bit. So
Yeah.
yeah, so nothing as such, but that'll be our 25. What about you?
Well, Walt Disney World.
Yes, yes.
I mean, it's 11 months away, but oh my God, am I excited. I
Oh,
mean, I'm getting the email. I've just had another email update on my flight schedule, and it's like, oh, it's so exciting. So yeah, no, 2025 is the year of Walt Disney World. And you know what as well? It's like because we're going at Christmas, um, I feel like I can continue the Christmas spirit
yeah,
like right throughout the year until
yeah.
I'm there
Well,
because I'm looking like on Vinted for secondhand Christmas jerseys and
yeah.
those sorts of things. So yeah, I feel like I'll be jolly all year.
Well, all I'm going to say is when October comes and you're a month away from going, and I'm surrounded by, well, probably not nappies, but the like, with drawing over the walls, strip
Yeah.
wallpaper, um, Sudocrem pushed into sofas.
Yes.
I will resist the urge to think about you going to Disney World. 'Cause I think so
See,
yeah,
when you've
here's
been twice.
yeah,
So
your turn.
yeah, it's my turn now.
Yeah. So on that note, it's Happy New Year and
Yes.
to
All the
2025.
best, everyone, for 2025.
We will see you, or you will hear from us, for Aladdin, which is next.
Yes. Don't know if it'll be next week
We
because we'll be de-Christmasing and,
Yes,
you know, hopefully not too much of a headache from all the alcohol.
yeah.
But yeah, if not, it'll definitely be the week after.
Yes, and then we've got The Lion King with another special guest.
Yes.
And then
We've
it's
got a bonus episode with a special guest.
yes. Oh, it's the 90s.
I
It is
know.
the 90s.
It's our
So
time.
yes.
Yeah.
So au revoir.
Yes. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Should all acquaint.